Right, moving over to the superintendent's report.
Okay. Each year we're required to provide an update on the HIB alleged and HIB confirmed. And we do that 2 times a year. Do that for July through December, and then the second in the beginning of the year, we did it for the prior year. So we'll do that. The second time will be for a full year. So in 25, 26, we've had 33 alleged HIBs and 12 confirmed since through December. For the same period last year, we had 26 alleged and 13 confirmed. So even though we've had more alleged this year, we've had one less confirmed. Some of that increase in the alleged is through our training that we've had, whether it's through our attorney or through our policy consultant, who both stated, it's really better to be cautious and do the investigation versus having a principal make the determination. Principals still make those determinations. But we've said if they've usually, questioned that it might be something we investigate. All right. As far as buildings, the high school has had the most alleged, yet only one confirmed during that period. As far as the buildings are concerned, Heritage Middle School has had 7 confirmed. NPM has had 2 confirmed. Then at Harrison, there's a confirmed, and Hillside, there's been a confirmed, and the other buildings haven't had it. So, if I were to say there's a trend, I would say it's impulsive middle school students who tend to have them.
Is that number not accurate? The alleged and HMS is 5, but confirmed is 7.
I can check that.
Okay.
Mhm. All right. Yeah.
12 total. 7
Mhm.
confirmed, 5 were alleged.
Yeah.
So that's the total.
Okay.
That is.
It does appear to be correct. Okay. So what everyone's here for, really, is the budget presentation. If we go to the second slide, just quickly, tonight we're presenting the tentative budget. We will vote on it next Tuesday. The board will vote on it. And really, this is just a very preliminary, a very tentative budget that is then sent to the county office for their approval. All budgets in the state of New Jersey go to the county offices for approval. So this budget maintains all our programs for the 26-27 school year. Even though it's been a challenging year, we've been able to make sure that we maintain the programs. Some of the programs may be delivered differently, but the programs will exist. It includes all our negotiated agreements with the associations and all our non-aligned personnel. Continues to support technology, our curriculum, and you will see when Jess talks about the dollars and cents that there's a decrease in the debt service tax levy due to refinancing of bonds, which were done earlier this year. This budget does use a healthcare adjustment waiver. As we've talked about in past board meetings, our health insurance has gone up very significantly. While the budget is based on projection of what our increase will be, we will get our firm number, firm percentage on what our insurance will go up by the second week of April. Okay, so by the time we approve this budget in May, we'll have that firm number and we'll be able to tell you exactly what the increase is. This budget does have an increase in the technology fee. It's our understanding that that fee has never been changed since the district started collecting it. At least no one has any recollection of it ever changing. And then, the refunding of the school bonds, reducing the debt service helps with the tax levy. We continue to support the Department of Student Services. Won't go through everything, on the slide, but it does continue to support, special education and related services, counseling and nursing, the tier 2 supports, and the equity work that we do within the district.
In this year's budget, we're going to be doing less curriculum writing this summer than we have in the past. We've been on the 5-year curriculum writing cycle. However, we have initiatives that are, currently in place and other initiatives that we're looking to start at the high school. And as long as we have the enrollment in those courses, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we've got curriculum documents for those. So we're going to continue to move the 95% core word study program going up to the 3rd grade next year. Open SciEd will be done with 4th and 5th grade as planned. Our Math B lab class for the 6th grade, as we talked about back in December, we're planning to move forward with, and bringing Math and Focus up to the 8th grade. The new courses like the AP Business with Personal Finance at the high school, Ceramics 3, our partnership with TCNJ for the dual enrollment on 2 of their courses for the Schooling in the American Dream, Child and Adolescent Development, as well as the revised curriculum for Energy, Power, and Transportation 1 and 2. Again, as long as the numbers come back in April and we've got sufficient enrollment in those courses, we'll make sure that over the summer we're doing all we need to do to get those ready for our students. From a professional development standpoint, we are looking to do the overwhelming majority in-house next year. So, listed here with our instructional framework, Live, Livingston U, these are all in-house programs that we currently have, and we're going to continue to lean on them next year. A lot of it is teacher-led, a lot of it is co-led between administrators and teachers. So we're looking forward to continuing that what we started.
As far as technology, over the past few years, the budget has supported and enabled the district to make significant upgrades in our infrastructure, cybersecurity, our devices, software programs. This year, we did look at all our software and did make some changes and cuts in software, mainly in the area of software that didn't have high use. And we'll continue to make sure that we do the rotation as far as the Chromebooks and things of that sort. The goal is to maintain our existing services and program, continue to enhance instruction and the administrative functions, and finally, make sure that our district is protected as far as cybersecurity as much as possible. As far as email filtering, multi-factor authentication, while cybersecurity is a little bit inconvenient for the end users, it's the security we need to make sure that we have no problems. As far as facilities are concerned, we'll continue to look at areas where our walkways need some repaving. We're going to make some repairs at some exterior stairs, structural improvements, any roof repairs, interior painting, mechanical systems, continue to replace boilers. The district is in a good position where we've replaced boilers over time. And safety, make sure our fire panels are of an age where you can't find parts anymore. So we're replacing the panels and making sure that they're expandable, just in case the next bullet comes to fruition, where we're continue to look at our facility and possible bus depot projects that will be evaluated and determine future needs. So we want to make sure that our facilities remain safe, remain modern, and they're the efficient use while addressing the needs and future developments of the district. And now Jess will talk about the numbers.
The exciting part.
So as we all know, on March 12th, the governor, well, actually on March 10th, she did her budget address. So on March 12th, the DOE announced the state aid. Livingston was one of the 30% of the districts that received a decrease or flat state aid. While that hurts, it wasn't as bad as what we were anticipating, because it was only about 0.5% that we lost in our state aid. You'll see in the chart there, I've just indicated what we received last year in the 3 categories in which we received the state aid. And the numbers last year over this year, we saw a small decline in the transportation aid and also the categorical special education aid. We did see an increase again this year in the security aid. So overall, we lost 0.5%, which was definitely one of the on the better end of things for losing. This debt service aid also decreased this year, but that's to be expected because our debt service as a whole decreased. So the aid that they provide for it is less. And the extraordinary aid that we budgeted, we are expecting it to increase, that it should be about $1 million more. So moving on to the next slide, we'll give a little history of the revenue history of the general fund. So historically, the tax levy has supported above 90% of the general fund revenues for the district. It did dip below that in 23-24, and now we're back up to it, it providing about 90.5% of the revenue that the district utilizes to balance its budget. We continue the trend of our expenditures increasing at a higher rate than the tax levy. There is a slide later on that we will go to that you will see the way in which the difference is indicated. Due to unassigned fund balance of over 2%, the district was required to use $950,868 in the operating budget, which was not initially anticipated. This is a much smaller fund balance than the district has historically utilized to balance the budget. But from that perspective, it's actually a good thing because fund balance is unpredictable. Ideally, the goal is to continue to keep it about $1 million. So we ended up doing that this year. And even with the usage of the healthcare waiver, the local tax levy will still provide the 90.5% of the funding for our district. Next slide. So this is the revenue history and a 5-year look back. You'll see the orange line is what our current expenses are going back to 21-22, and the green line indicates what the tax levy has been. You'll see that in 21-22, the difference between our current expense and the tax levy was about $7.2 million. The difference is expected to be about $14.3 million in 26-27. So as you can see, that indicates it's about double in a 5-year period, the gap between what our expenditures are and what we're able to raise via the tax levy. Next slide. These are just the appropriations by category. This is basically what the money is being spent on slide. And you'll see that the majority, about 50% of the total budget is spent on general instruction and special and related services, which is to be, and that includes salaries and everything for those particular areas. Next slide. This is the slide that shows our salaries, benefits, and other allocations. As you can see, as in most places, your salaries and benefits make up more than 80% of our expenditures each year. This is pretty standard, not just for our district, but for most companies in general. But our benefits are, as we've indicated in several other conversations, are increasing dramatically. And that's not just a Livingston problem, I will say. That is a statewide problem that everybody is seeing. The next slide. So despite the tough budget year, as Dan had kind of indicated, we are still continuing district excellence by offering programs that aren't mandated by the NJDOE. We're still doing full day kindergarten. We have the administrative, supervisory, and support staff structure, assistant principals, school counselors, interventions for K-8, school for ELA and math, nurses in all the schools, media specialists in every schools, multiple SACs, instrumental music lessons beginning in grade 4, our wide range of curriculum and elective courses, instructional aids, the interscholastic athletics that we have both at the middle school and the high school now, co-curricular and extracurricular activities, the STEAM program, and the one-to-one technology initiative. And so this is just a little more. So as Dan had mentioned in the earlier slide, the healthcare waiver adjustment available to the district to use is $5.6 million. The adjusted tax levy cap is about 5.18 with the utilization of the healthcare waiver available to us. That the 5.18 is reduced because, as Dan mentioned, we have the debt service levy that is being reduced due to the refunding of the bonds. The balanced tentative 26-27 budget will be presented next Tuesday for the board to vote on and will then be submitted to the county office for their approval before we then have our final budget that we will present to everybody. You can go to the next slide. So our base tax increase, as we all know, our tax levy cap base is 2%. That equates to $2.5 million. The healthcare waiver adjustment allows us to go up by another $5.6 million or 4.37%. So the total general fund tax increase would be 6.37%, which equates to $8.1 million. With the debt service tax increase of a negative 21.61%, because we have the reduction of the $1.2 million after the refunding, the tax increase to the average home would be 5.18%, which equates to $478 for the year. The next slide gives a little, it has the average home price as the township has provided to me at the 738,359 is the $478. And then we have some varying amounts there for home so everybody can see, just get an idea of what it is for different home prices. We do have the total township rateables did increase this year by $82.7 million, which does help the district. And these are real small numbers that are. I'm just going to say that total budgetary comparative per pupil is the top line. And this year we're proposing that it will be $20,300, which is a small increase of only about $80. Oh, wait, 330. I'm sorry. 220, 110. Sorry, I can't even see the numbers. About $110 over 25-26. And we've talked about it before. Our cost per pupil here in Livingston is quite a bit lower than most districts in the area. Even though it seems like a lot of money in comparison to other districts, we are much lower. And that's a good thing that we're able to keep our costs as low as we do. On the left-hand side, we just I break things down a little bit more. in regards to the classroom instruction per pupil, the cost, it did go up $159 over last year. Our legal cost is $46, and the regional limit legal cost per pupil is $68. You can see we're below on that. We're also well below the regional limit for the total admin cost per pupil, as well as the general admin cost per pupil. And the school cost, we are below in all of the administrative costs in comparison to the regional cost limit. As you'll see on the very bottom line, our employee benefits as a percentage of salaries. In 23-24, it was 28.18%. And the proposed budget for 26-27 right now with the healthcare costs that we have projected it goes up to 38.42%. So that's a very large increase of 8.56%. We will know those numbers for sure, as Dan indicated, in the middle of April. Along the lines of the healthcare, I know there have been some questions and whatnot regarding our broker and shopping the plans. I've been in communication with our broker on a very regular basis. The most recent update that I received from our broker is just that we have had they have been shopping our plan to everybody and anybody that they can, which they do every year. And to date, they have received three a decline to quote from three different carriers. They have gone out to stop loss, and 8 markets that the stop loss companies have gone out to have declined to give any, provide any quotes. There are still some other carriers out there that they are getting proposals from. The HIFs, which everybody is talking about, the health insurance funds, it's not necessarily that they don't quote. It's just that they're very selective in who they do quote because they do have a fiscal responsibility to their other members. So we do have one that is actively underwriting the group right now, but they're waiting on, they will not do it until they actually have our claims experience for February. And one of the keynotes that she explained to me is that a group of our size, because Livingston is a large district, we have a lot of staff members, and we're fully creditable, which means that the underrating is based solely on our demographic and the usage. And fortunately, Livingston's experience rating is not great. So this is not helping us get, better rates because our experience rating is not wonderful. We're above 100% in both prescription and medical. So these are some of the challenges that the broker is facing in getting the different proposals that they are getting, but they are working hard at doing it and crossing every I and dotting every T. Totally just did that wrong.
Yep.
Crossing every T and dotting every I in getting all of the proposals that they can to provide to us to ensure that we can get the best rate possible, while still providing a level of, insurance that we've had in the past.
Dan, can you just put up the last slide?
Oh, yes. So you'll notice on this slide that that I put up there, the district will be holding a community budget forums on April 23rd here in the central office conference room. And the morning session will be from 9:30 to 11:30, and the evening session will be from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So we welcome anybody in the community who would like to come out to ask any questions, just get any more information, make any comments that they would like to make about the budget.
Thank you.
And also the questions. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah. No.
Oh, and then, yes, and if anybody has any questions prior to that, we do have an email address specifically designated for budget questions. It is budgetquestions@livingston.org. Very, very appropriately named. We spent a lot of time on that name coming up with it.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. This has not been an easy budget year, and I appreciate everybody's work on this budget. I know we will have in very difficult decisions ahead of us, but I know that everybody at this table is going to center student experience at putting that at the heart of it and actually making decisions that way. So with that, does the board have any questions?
Yeah, so just first a comment. So, I'll just echo something, obviously really appreciate all the work that, and most importantly, all the work that went into maintaining the programmatic intent of Livingston Public Schools, inclusive of adherence to our class size guidelines within. So really appreciate that. Also really appreciate the work to the business administrator and on reducing the debt service, which mitigates the impact to Livingston families. So thank you. My question for Dr. Fishbein and for Ms. Rapp is, can you talk a little bit about what your associations are talking about? I've obviously been through this budget many times over, about what we're seeing statewide and your strands. You talked about what potentially $15 million gap for next year and how districts are going to need to come together potentially on finding solutions to this. We've obviously put a resolution forward as a board, but this problem is not going away. And so I'm just curious if you could talk publicly about what your associations are discussing on these matters.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, really, there's two areas that are really driving our budgets. It's medical insurance, it's the insurance. And it's not just us who are in private plans. The state plan is having equal increases. What I'm seeing from colleagues is, districts that have a good health history are getting lower rates, and they're sort of keeping quiet about it because everyone else is suffering. And the other area, tends to be on special ed tuition. We do a great job in keeping students here, and for a district our size, I really don't think we have a lot of students that we can't service here in the district, but there are some that we do, and those providers are not kept to the same standard as we are as far as the caps. So, these are two areas that I know my professional organization and the Garden State Coalition of schools that we belong to and been a charter member and works and lobbies to see what the state can do to help everyone. Because if there's relief in those two areas, it will help every district.
My organization is pretty similar. Obviously, we've identified the same areas as problem areas, and we have worked very hard as of late and probably the past few years at doing everything we can to get a seat at the table in Trenton to be able to speak to them about the issues. Some of the things we put together an entire report on Chapter 44. We put together an entire report on state aid and revamping the way that should be divvied up and the way it should be calculated. And look, that's not an easy job to do, but we are very actively doing everything we can to communicate how difficult this is for everybody, because as we said, this isn't a Livingston problem. It really is a state problem that almost all districts are facing in some capacity. And there's not a lot of relief in sight for any of us. So yeah, I mean, this is every month I go to my state meetings and this is exactly what we're talking about. Something, related to the school finance and especially right now. So
are there any suggested proposals that the associations have that will really make an impact on us for going forward? That's one question.
Yeah, well, the medical insurance issue, is not just an education issue. It's in the headlines,
Mhm.
almost every day. So you know, the way the state would have to make changes is to change the plan to do that. And they've done that in the past. And then usage goes up and they have to fund it. They can't continue to underwrite on the plans.
And is there any discussion with the increase in the special education costs about how to control, you said that they're not held to the same standards in terms of the charges back to the district. So is there any discussion at the state level in your meetings about that?
There's definitely discussion about it. How special ed and district programs are funded, are set in code. I think I've shared with this in the past that we can get mid-year increases. Even though we have an agreement on what we're going to pay, we could have mid-year increases. I don't ever recall getting a mid-year decrease, which.
Is there ever an occasion where it remains flat?
Yeah.
Mid-year?
Yeah, there is.
Because as I'm looking at this, I see a reduction in categorical transportation aid and a slight reduction in special education aid. And is there any explanation that we get when you see the reductions about how those calculations were made?
I mean, we'd like to see in the extraordinary aid calculation to have transportation as part of it, which would be great. Now, my understanding is of the extraordinary aid, there's a set number and then it's redistributed through all the districts.
Right.
So they would need to increase that pot of money in order to do that.
The special education categorical aid is based on the number of projected special education students that the state deems based on, and then multiplied by a dollar figure that the state also deems it per student, which this year is $24,002.
I thought they changed it from expected to the exact population census based. Did they now change it back?
They must have, because it's
I see.
the number that they have projected. It's not our actual number right now, and
Okay.
isn't even what, I mean, it's a slight increase over what our actual, so they did give it, like, our actual number last year, I think it's like I want to say that the number that they're projecting is like 11 students more or 10 students more than what we submitted in ASSA. So that's the number that they used. The $24,002 is the number, and then they always have their geographical cost adjustment in there that they multiply it by. But that's,
Last year, because that's how we lost money.
And one other question, I know that we do a lot of work with partnering with universities, and both for our students and for our staff. And how do you anticipate that we continue to invest in our staff when we're so limited in our resources? And at what point would we become concerned about the effects on our programs, especially given your projection about the gap for next year?
Well, I think you saw on Mark's slide that we have a very talented staff who provide great PD for our entire district. So I think that's a real positive. And we continue to provide a new teacher induction program. We also have a very good new administrator induction program.
Yes.
So we try to support, our teachers as much as we can. The importance of a supervisory staff, administrative staff is to provide support, to, all our teachers.
Right. So I agree with all of that. And I guess my concern is that we talk about the difficulty in hiring teachers and retaining teachers. And yet, here we are in this difficult position, and we're not the only district in New Jersey. This is happening around the state, and it would be good to give all staff an environment that feels stable from year to year.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I think this budget process, as challenging as it's been,
Mhm.
does not lead to, that stable feeling. That would be great if, we didn't have these financial challenges.
Some of the partnerships that we have with the local universities are not a charge to the district.
Right.
Whether it's a dual enrollment or TCNJ partnership for people that want to be, school leaders, administrators, supervisors. While there's provisions in the contract for some reimbursement, that is a teacher choice to be part of that. And I agree. And I think that part of what we need to make sure that we're always doing for our teachers, that we are providing opportunities and choices. And to be very honest with you, a lot of the teachers bring really great things to us that we then, share out with the rest of the school community. Some at cost, and there's a lot of good free PD out there too.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate all of the programs that we have for students and staff to develop as teachers, to develop as administrators. And I think we're doing all of those things right. And we wouldn't want impact on those things in the future.
Can I ask a question? The curriculum writing, I know we're pausing for this summer. At what point, like I know we are also move on a cycle for 5-year curriculum writing. How is that going to be impacted for specifically this year? Were there things that we were supposed to revisit that we're not going to be revisiting?
There are a lot that we were supposed to revisit that we're not going to revisit next year. Some of it is based on the 5-year, cycle. But again, any of the ones that had an immediate need, we can do some things that need immediate attention in department meetings rather than over the summer. So you're doing some of those things in real time. Curriculum is meant to be a living, breathing document. We're not cutting it out completely. And then long term, depending on what we choose to do, whether, we're going to be asking for second question, whether, we need to be continuing to look at what's available to us. Our 5-year writing cycle might become a 6-year writing cycle. That is a reality. And we created the 5-year cycle. Some of you will likely remember about 10 years ago, because we had curriculum that hadn't been touched in a very long time. And we need to make sure that our staff and our students have, up-to-date, modern, appropriate, curriculum for the classroom. So that's something that we're going to have to keep looking at and keep working on together.
And if the state also introduced new standards in one curricular area, you might have seen something different in our presentation tonight if we needed to implement something based on new standards for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions?
Right.
All right,
Thank
well,
you.
thank you again. And we'll keep talking, and everybody, just a reminder, April 23rd, 9:30 to 11:30 in the morning, and 7 to 9, there is a budget forum. If anybody wants to have a two-way interaction and questions about the budget and understand how certain decisions are being made, come Thank you, Dr. Fishbein. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, everybody. I know you guys are working around the clock. With that, any board reports?
So I had the opportunity, this was actually as a parent, but I really felt it important to bring it here to volunteer. I apologize if I'm stealing something from you. At what is senior games. And I was a referee at senior games and it was an amazing night. But what I wanted to report back to the board is we've obviously just covered our challenges. And I purposely held it for tonight because what I witnessed that night was everything we're doing right in this district. Those kids were amazing that night, cheering for one another, supportive of one another, inclusive as could be. I mean, I happened to be near one team that had some of our dedicated program students in it and could not have been better to those kids. And so I just wanted to express that to the district, my appreciation for all you do and give the board a little bit of a window into being around 300-400 of how many were there that night, of our seniors, the kids that we hope to reflect in that portrait of a graduate on the wall. It was as reflective as could be that night. And so I just had to bring that here this evening.
Well, I could piggyback off of that, how amazing our district is. We went to the art show, what was it, yesterday? It feels like a few days ago. It was incredible. We have so many talented students beyond, I would really enjoy the artwork and I'm so happy that it's in the town hall for everybody to enjoy. I'm not sure what the time frame is when the,
For this month.
oh, for the whole month. Amazing. I hope more people come out to see it. They were amazing musicians, student musicians, right? It was the orchestra. They're phenomenal. I'm like, our district is just, I feel like, we're definitely in one of the best districts around. I mean, that was the reason why my family moved to this town 16 years ago. So I'm just blown away by all these things that these students are producing. Just wanted to piggyback off of you, but yeah.
And in addition to the AP art show and the musicians yesterday, the musical this past week and weekend. So it was incredible to see from the stage to the pit to the all actors on stage. It was wonderfully produced and just
3 sold out shows.
Yeah.
3 sold out shows and left with like total joy and forget about a lot that is happening.
Yeah, the level of statecraft, the level of sets that are built, which is actually done by our students,
Including the digital set, right?
including the digital sets. The lighting work behind the scenes is actually one of delight. That's where you see all of the learning come together, and when they're working on their tech, how students have poured in their heart, and not just students, their teachers, they take pride. Those teachers are, I feel like every year, maybe when the seniors actually graduate, the seniors kids, they're in tears here in the back. So there's a lot of love poured into our students. And I think these little windows are the ones that make all of the difference, makes it all worth it. Those budget lines, those spreadsheets, and we'll keep continuing to work hard then with that. And with that, any more board reports?
No, we just love all these amazing.
What percent of
talent.
what you're about to say did we just take from you?
But we need it from your perspective.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really.
So,
Yes.
I was gonna say, I was a participant in senior games. Obviously, I'm a senior at the high school, and it was an absolutely amazing experience. I really did feel like the whole class was coming together. Like every single person, no matter how different or similar they were, we all got together, had a great time. And even though it was only 2 hours, it was an absolutely amazing experience to be a senior and for everyone to be happy and carefree and together. So I really enjoyed that. And I also had the pleasure of seeing Shrek on Thursday. And that was absolutely amazing as well. I was blown away, really enjoyed it. And it's so amazing to see what students who are completely different from me, all the amazing things that they can do and put in, and the amazing things that come out of that. So I absolutely love that.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for approval of minutes?
Second.
Any questions? Roll call?
Mrs. Charles,
Yes.
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Dong,
Yes.
Mrs. Yellisevich,
Yes.
and Mrs. Kemka.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We're now here for a public comment. The rules for the public comment are all posted on the podium. Are there any public comments in the room? Please state your name and township.
My name's David Burstein. I live in West Orange. And I run a project called Price Reflect. We analyze publicly available board authorized service rates across New Jersey school districts. Our data set now includes more than 20,000 rates across 42 school districts. The analysis shows that authorized rates for similar services appear to vary up to 3 times across neighboring districts. We organize these findings into a public benchmark report at pricereflect.com, and I wanted to make the board aware of it as a resource. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comments in the room? Being none, any public comments online? Yes, I see one. Mr.
Hello?
Ashton, yep, you're
Yes.
on. We can hear
Hi,
you.
Neil Shinsky. I'm in the township of Livingston. So I'm here yet again. I think the big question that remains after the last going through the budget is how many teachers are being ripped? I think we kind of glossed over that. Mr. Cohen, I believe you referenced that you're still going to maintain the level of student-to-teacher ratios that are the guideline and policies of the board. However, the very direct impact to us as parents of teachers is still yet unknown, which is how many teachers are going to be impacted by this pending RIF. Now, I also want to reference a point that I think is important. The resolution you passed last month to tell Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is a for-profit entity, which has, to be honest with you, no bearing on whether or not they care about anyone's feelings being hurt, is hard to really stomach that that's what we're going to bank on for how we're going to fix this going forward. Going forward, there needs to be a change to the school funding formula, and there needs to be a change to the property tax cap levy that's enforced everywhere that's part of the state balance. Everywhere else in any other assessment year over year is tracked to some sort of CPI adjustment. For whatever reason, when the state put the 2% cap in 2012, when again, property taxes were rising at astronomical rates, we have not pushed back as a collective unit back to Trenton and tell them it's time to track to a metric that more closely aligns with how income is changing from the perspective of your town residents. That is what you should be pushing for in your collective groups as our board members, because that is what we can try to push for, is tell our state leaders in Trenton that they need to adjust the cap levy. Additionally, as someone, and I believe it's been brought up here, the fact that special ed is not an exception to the property tax cap means that, and it's unfortunate to say out loud, but special ed is getting the benefits of they are contractually obligated to receive under the same state statute that my children are. But because we need to service them through the same 2% cap, it's coming at an expense to my children. And so I stand here yet again. I'm going to say the same exact comment that I said 2 weeks ago. How are we to look at every teacher that's about to be terminated and told that they're not going to be rehired and say that we're doing everything we can to help make sure that this doesn't happen again? How have you, the members of the board, try to come back? You just referenced a $15 million gap coming into 27-20. And then you also have, as crazy as it is, you have another teacher salary negotiation that's going to come up at the end of the school year as well, that you're also going to have to deal with this. How do we learn from our mistakes so that we do not repeat them? It is a core principle we all learn in history. We must learn from this. We must apply our learnings, and we must do better going forward.
Thank you. Are there any more comments? There are comments online. Miss Amin, we can hear you.
Hi, Michelle Amin, Livingston, New Jersey. I wanted to ask a couple questions and make a statement. The high school multicultural night is happening in the middle of Passover. I think it's really sad that that was not taken into account when planning. When I was on the elementary school level, we took into account every holiday, and specifically multicultural night when it involves food. We did not have it during Ramadan. We did not have it during Passover. And so while there has been commentary that at this point it is too late to change it because there are no other available dates on the calendar, it just seems really sad. We have a large Jewish population, secular and religious. Everybody practices differently. It should have been taken into account, and I hope that going forward, it is taken into account. Separate than that, I have a question about absences. I know that there are policies that are set from the state. This was a very bad flu season. I was hit with all three of my kids very badly. And now we're in a situation where there are attendance issues while my kids had doctor's notes. And I know that there are options to go around it, but they are not excused absences because the state of New Jersey does not excuse them, even with the doctor's note. And I think that we need to take into account that there is a human factor here, and we have to we have to defend ourselves. A kid is sick. You don't want them in the building. You don't want a parent to force their child in the building because you're concerned that their absences are going to be too great. There are medical issues. There's a human factor. And I think that it really begs a bigger conversation of what are we going to do in Livingston to have that discussion on a state level to make it a better policy. So that's all I got. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any more comments online? Seeing none, I'm going to close out public comment. Moving over, can I have a motion from 1.1 to 1.3?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Charles?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kemka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I have a motion for 2.1? Any questions?
Mrs. Charles?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kemka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I have a motion for 3.1 through 3.9?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? No.
Mrs. Charles?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich? And Mrs. Kemka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I have a motion from 4.1 to 4.8?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Mrs. Charles?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kemka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I have a motion for 5.1 and 5.2?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Mrs. Charles?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kemka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Any business? Any new business? Can I have a motion to adjourn? Second.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank